Hi science teachers, we are on week 4 for cycle 1. We're doing our science and you will have a bag that's full of fun things. You will have cups, tea bags, some paper, and then you will, some pink paper, and then you will have little umbrellas for each child. Now when you open the bag, and then you'll also have paper. And so what we're discussing this week is Chinese, trying to get out an umbrella to show you, Chinese inventions. And so you're going to discuss with the students how incredible Chinese inventions were and how we use them every day. And so one of the things we're going to discuss are umbrellas. So they're going to take, it's just a little bitty plastic thing on the umbrella that keeps it in, and then they can expand their umbrellas gently. And then they can make it go up and down. Now, and then they can move the little bar up to make it stay up. So pretty nifty. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to look at the mechanisms behind this. It's a circle that goes around a stick, and then the little bars that move out and adjust the larger bars, and then there is some cloth or paper around that. Now, the umbrella is something that's so simple, and we use them all the time, but have your students really looked at the engineering behind the umbrella? Probably not. And so spend a few minutes with them discussing umbrellas and how these sticks move up and down, and how you could make it differently perhaps, and how the person thought of that the first time. What do you think the evolution of an umbrella would be? Do you think that they got tired of getting wet and maybe they held something and that got really heavy? Talk to your students and see what they think and how umbrellas might have evolved to people in China. They get to keep these, bring them home. The next thing is have some warm water, not hot water, and explain that tea is a plant that grows, and it's the leaves of a plant, and you dry them, dehydrate them, and so they're green, and then they turn black or brown when you dry them, and they have a nice fragrance to them. So allow your students to smell the tea, and then each child can have a cup of tea. You're going to just pour it in and let the tea go into their drink and have some tea. Now, when they're drinking this, talk to them about how the Chinese figured out to put the leaves into the water and make a drink out of it. Do you think that maybe some of their water didn't taste as good, and so they wanted to flavor it a little bit? Do you think, how do they think they found out how to dry the leaves? Do you think some of the leaves were dry and so they just sprinkled them in? What type of inventiveness went through their minds to do this? So think about all of that type of thing. And then another thing that the Chinese invented were kites. So this is going to take, the umbrella discussion is probably going to take 5 to 10 minutes. The tea discussion is probably going to take another 10 minutes to really, maybe even taking a tea bag apart and feeling those leaves and smelling them and passing that around so everyone can smell some of the tea leaves and squish them between their fingers. Think about the other things that you can make tea out of. You can have chamomile tea, or you can have black teas. There's so many different things that you can make into tea as well, so discuss that. And then with the kite, they're going to have a sheet of paper. I'm just going to use this paper. And they're going to color it, make it very pretty. So you've got cardstock in here for that. And then they're going to roll it either this way or this way, depending the way the child wants to. And remember, at Eden Hope Academy, our experiments are as open as we possibly can. So as long as it's a tube in some way, they can start their kite. So first step, color the tube. Second step, make it into a tube. Now, you might suggest to your students that they make it into some type of a character, which would be very Chinese-esque of them. So they might make their tube, they might draw it into a fish, or a dragon, or a serpent, or something like that to make it look more Chinesey. Or if they've already had science class for this week, then perhaps they can draw with it, something, draw some Chinese letters on it. So they can use their markers for that, or pencils, anything like that, anything that you want to grab out of the supply box for this week. And next they're going to use the tissue paper right here. And Chinese Chinese kites tend to have streamers off of them. So the students are going to cut the pink tissue paper into streamers, and then you're either going to glue those on or staple them on. And then they also have a piece of yarn, and so they're going to make they're going to put a hole here. They can use their scissors, and a hole here. They're going to string the yarn on, and it'll go about to here, and then they can fly those around like a Chinese kite. So really 3 different items in art this week. There is the tea, the umbrellas, just discovering and exploring the umbrellas, and then the kite. And we'll put some pictures of Chinese kites as examples up. And make sure you allow your students to be very open-ended in what they do. As long as they just use the key forms, it must be a tube with stringers and a string on it. They can make them big, small, whatever they like. Thanks so much for everything that you do in teaching, and we truly, truly appreciate you.